Ready to have your mind blown today?
I'm always up for that.
Well, strap in, because today we're diving deep into the work of Sir Arthur Eddington.
Oh, wow. Eddington. Yeah, he's a fascinating one.
He wasn't just a brilliant astrophysicist, you know?
Yeah.
He confirmed Einstein's theory of relativity back in 1919,
Right. Huge moment in science.
which was a massive turning point in our understanding of the universe.
Absolutely.
But he was also a gifted writer.
Yeah, I've always loved his style.
He wasn't afraid to tackle the really big philosophical questions that science brings up.
He really went beyond the equations, didn't he?
He did.
It's like he was pushing the boundaries of physics right into the realm of, like, metaphysics almost.
Exactly.
Okay.
For this deep dive, you sent in excerpts from two of his books,
Yeah.
The Nature of the Physical World and Space, Time, and Gravitation,
Two classics.
along with a short biography.
To give us some context.
And looking at this material, it seems like our mission today is to figure out what Eddington believed about the nature of reality
The big questions.
and how that challenges the way we normally think about the world.
Right, because he really makes you rethink some fundamental assumptions.
He does.
One of the first things that jumps out from his writing
Yeah,
is this shift he talks about,
Oh.
a shift from the concrete to the abstract.
I see.
He argues that we tend to think of reality as all the solid, tangible things.
Right, the stuff we can see and touch.
Yeah,
Exactly.
makes sense. But science,
Right.
especially modern physics, kind of pulls us away from that view.
Oh, really? Yeah, so.
It starts to reveal a universe built on relationships
Okay.
and abstract concepts like time and space.
So it's like he's saying the more we learn about the universe,
Yeah,
the less solid and definite it actually becomes.
exactly. He uses
Yeah.
this great example.
I love a good example.
Think about a penny.
Okay.
You look at it from different angles, and it looks different each time, right?
Right.
But you still know it's one object.
Right.
Eddington says it's similar with the universe. It might have different appearances depending on where you're observing it from.
Okay. I think that analogy really helps to make it click.
It's a good one.
But if our usual concrete way of looking at things isn't the whole picture,
Right.
what is the true nature of reality, according to Eddington?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
He argues that our everyday reality, the one we experience with our senses,
Yeah.
is actually a kind of illusion.
An illusion. Wow.
It's a projection or a shadow play of a deeper reality.
I see it.
That's more about relationships and abstract principles than solid objects.
Okay, that's pretty mind-bending.
It is.
He's really asking us to stretch our imaginations here.
He is, but he was brilliant, so we should probably trust him.
But where does this idea of a deeper abstract reality lead him?
Well, this is where he dives into one of his most famous concepts,
Oh,
which is...
the four-dimensional world.
Ah, yes, I've heard about this.
He's talking about a universe where time isn't separate from space,
Right.
but woven together with it into a single fabric. I think I've heard a bit about four-dimensional space-time,
Yeah.
but it's always been hard to grasp.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
It sounds like one of those things that makes sense on paper,
Mm-hmm.
but not in real life.
Right.
Is Eddington just talking about some mathematical trick here?
No, actually, he insists that this isn't just a mathematical trick, but the way the universe actually works
Okay.
to understand it.
Yeah.
Eddington says we have to incorporate different points of view
Okay.
and states of motion into our picture of reality.
Let's see.
And this is where Einstein's theory of relativity comes in.
Oh, right. Of course.
It shows that time and space aren't absolute,
Yeah.
but relative to the observer.
Okay, so it's not just about adding a fourth dimension onto our 3D world.
Right.
It's about fundamentally changing how we see time and space themselves.
Exactly. Imagine a film strip.
Okay?
Each frame is a static 2D image.
Yeah.
But when you play them in sequence,
Uh-huh.
they create the illusion of motion and time. Eddington suggests that our 3D world is similar.
Okay, I see where you're going with it.
It's like a slice of a 4D reality
Yeah.
where time is just another dimension.
I think I'm starting to get a glimmer of what he's getting at.
Good.
Although I can tell it'll take some more pondering to really sink in.
Definitely one to think about.
And from what I'm seeing here, Eddington doesn't stop at 4 dimensions, does he?
You're right, he doesn't.
Okay, let's hear it.
He even goes on to explore even more complex geometries,
Really?
suggesting that the universe is far more intricate and mind-boggling.
Okay, now we're getting into the really weird stuff.
We are.
So we've got this shift from concrete to abstract
Yeah.
and this mind-bending four-dimensional world.
Uh-huh.
What other major ideas does Eddington put forward about the nature of reality?
Well, that's where we get to what might be his most radical and thought-provoking concept.
Oh. I'm all ears.
The idea that mind stuff might be the fundamental basis of the universe.
Mind stuff.
Mind stuff.
What exactly does he mean by that? Is he saying the universe is conscious in some way?
Not quite conscious in the way we think of it, no.
Okay.
He's talking about something more fundamental, something that gives rise to both mind and matter.
I see.
He uses this analogy.
Oh, I love analogies.
Imagine a prism.
Okay.
Splitting white light into all the colors of the rainbow.
Right.
Our minds, he suggests, work like that prism. They take this raw mind stuff
Okay.
and shape it into the world we perceive,
I see.
filtering out certain aspects and highlighting others.
So you're telling me that what we see as the laws of physics
Yeah.
might actually be created by our own minds,
In a way, yes.
just by the way we focus on certain aspects of this mind stuff.
It's a radical idea.
Actually, a pretty wild thought.
But that's Eddington for you.
It makes you wonder what else might be hidden beyond the limits of our usual way of seeing things.
Exactly.
This idea of mind as a filter is so intriguing.
It is.
But doesn't it raise some pretty big questions?
Yeah, like what?
About how we can actually know anything for sure about the universe.
Right.
If our minds are shaping reality,
Yeah.
how can we trust that what we're observing is actually objective?
That's a great question.
I thought so.
And it leads us to another important concept that Eddington explores.
Which is
Selective subjectivism.
selective subjectivism.
Okay.
Essentially,
Yeah.
he's arguing that the world we perceive isn't entirely objective. It's shaped by our minds,
Okay.
by the way we select and interpret information.
So our own biases and filters are in play.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Sure.
It sounds like he's saying that science, which
Yeah.
we usually think of as the most objective way of knowing,
Right.
might actually be influenced by subjective factors.
To a certain extent, yes.
Doesn't that kind of undermine the whole scientific enterprise?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, good, because I kind of like science.
Eddington wasn't saying that science is useless or arbitrary.
Okay, that's good to hear. He still believed in the power of scientific inquiry
Okay.
to uncover truths about the universe.
All right.
But he was also cautioning against taking our current scientific models as the absolute final word on how things work.
I see.
They're incredibly useful tools,
Yeah.
but they're still just models
Right.
based on our limited human perspective.
So it's like we're looking at the universe with a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
And those glasses are shaped by our own minds.
Exactly.
By the way we've been conditioned to see the world.
And Eddington's point is that we shouldn't mistake the view we get through those glasses
Right.
for the ultimate reality.
There might be a whole other way of seeing things,
Exactly.
perhaps without those glasses entirely, that we haven't even begun to imagine.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It's both humbling and exhilarating at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
It reminds us of how much we still don't know,
Right.
but also opens up these incredible possibilities for what we might discover in the future
Yeah.
as we continue to expand our awareness.
Exactly. And this is where Eddington's ideas start to connect with broader philosophical and even spiritual traditions.
Oh, really? How so?
He saw science as part of a larger search
Okay.
for meaning and truth, a search that ultimately takes us beyond the purely material realm.
It's like he's trying to bridge the gap
Yeah.
between the rational and the intuitive,
Right.
between the material and the spiritual.
Exactly. He was a scientist, but also a bit of a mystic in a way.
That's a very astute observation.
Thank you.
He really was ahead of his time in many ways,
He was.
anticipating themes that are only now becoming central to contemporary science and philosophy.
Yeah, like what?
The role of consciousness in shaping reality,
Right.
the limitations of our current scientific paradigms, the interconnectedness of all things.
He was thinking about all of this decades ago.
This is all incredibly fascinating.
It is.
But I have to ask, what does it all mean for us? You know,
What do you mean?
everyday people who aren't astrophysicists or philosophers,
Right.
how can we actually apply these ideas to our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I think one of the most important takeaways from Eddington's work
Yeah.
is that our perception shapes our reality.
Okay.
If you believe the world is a cold and hostile place, that's
Let's-
likely what you'll experience.
Right.
But if you open yourself to the possibility of wonder, beauty, connection, and meaning,
Yeah.
you might find that your experience of the world transforms.
In profound ways.
Exactly.
So it's not just about understanding abstract concepts.
Like what?
Like four-dimensional space-time.
Right.
Or mind stuff.
Mhm.
It's about actually changing the way we see the world and our place in it.
Precisely. And that starts with cultivating a sense of curiosity.
Okay, like that.
A willingness to look beyond the surface of things and to question your assumptions.
Question everything, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you're not just a passive observer of the universe,
Oh, I like that.
but an active participant in its creation through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
It suggests that we have much more agency than we might realize. We're not just at the mercy of external forces.
Right.
We have the ability to shape our own reality.
Within limits, of course.
Right. We still have to live in the real world with all its challenges and complexities.
Of course. But Eddington's point is that by recognizing the role of your own mind, shaping your experience, you can become a more conscious creator of your reality.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You can choose to focus on the positive.
Okay.
To cultivate gratitude and compassion.
Yeah.
To see the interconnectedness of all things.
And maybe by doing so, we can contribute to creating a world that's a bit more aligned with those values.
Possibly.
A bit more wondrous.
Yeah.
A bit more beautiful.
Uh-huh.
A bit more kind.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
This brings us back to one of Eddington's most profound and challenging statements.
Which is?
Mind has created the world of physics.
It's a big one.
It's a statement that invites us to think deeply about the nature of reality and our place within it.
He really wanted to shake things up.
So it's not just about understanding the physical laws of the universe.
Right.
It's also about understanding the power of our own minds.
Yeah.
To shape our experience and to contribute to the ongoing evolution of the cosmos.
Exactly. And this leads us to another crucial aspect of Eddington's work.
Okay, which we've touched upon before.
Yes, his exploration of the limitations of scientific knowledge.
Right. He argues that science, while being an invaluable tool, can't tell us everything.
That's right.
It's like that chess analogy he uses.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
We might know the rules of the game, but we don't necessarily understand the true nature of the pieces.
Precisely. And he goes even further.
Does he?
Suggesting that there might be aspects of reality that are inherently beyond the reach of scientific inquiry.
Wow. So there are things we might just never be able to know through science alone.
Maybe he doesn't dismiss science, but he reminds us that it's not the only way of knowing.
So where do we go from there?
That's the question.
If science can't give us all the answers, what other tools do we have at our disposal?
Well, Eddington believed that intuition, imagination, and direct experience play vital roles in our understanding of the world.
I can see that.
He was particularly interested in mystical experiences.
Oh, really?
Which he believed could offer glimpses.
Into what?
Into deeper levels of reality.
So he's not just talking about intellectual knowledge.
No.
He's talking about a more holistic kind of understanding.
Exactly.
One that encompasses both reason and intuition.
Right.
Both the head and the heart.
And this is where Eddington's work resonates with spiritual traditions.
How so?
That emphasize the importance of direct experience, contemplation, and the cultivation of inner wisdom.
So in a way, he's encouraging us to become more than just scientists or philosophers.
Yes.
He's urging us to become explorers of consciousness.
I like
to delve into the mysteries of our own being.
And to recognize that the universe is not something separate from us. We are the universe experiencing itself through our individual perspectives.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is.
And it seems to tie together all the different threads we've been exploring in Eddington's work.
Yeah.
The role of mind.
Yeah.
The limitations of science. The interconnectedness of all things.
Exactly. He was a true visionary. A scientist who wasn't afraid to embrace the mysteries of existence.
Yeah.
And to point towards a reality that's far richer and more expansive than we might initially imagine.
So Eddington's work isn't just about physics or astronomy.
Yeah.
It's about a much larger quest for meaning and purpose.
It is.
It's about exploring the nature of reality itself.
And it's a quest that he invites all of us to participate in.
Yeah, I like that.
Whether we're scientists,
philosophers,
or simply curious individuals seeking a deeper understanding of the world around us.
And within us.
Exactly. He really was a pioneer, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, his work continues to inspire and challenge us.
It does.
Even decades after his death.
And his ideas, they really resonate with a lot of the conversations happening today.
About what? Like, give me some examples.
About consciousness, quantum physics, the nature of reality itself,
It's almost like he was laying the groundwork
Yeah.
for a whole new way of understanding the universe.
Right.
One that goes beyond the purely materialistic view that dominated science for so long.
He was really pushing for a more holistic perspective.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
How can we continue this exploration of consciousness that Eddington initiated?
I think he'd probably say, just keep asking those questions.
What steps can we take in our own lives to open up to this larger reality he's pointing towards?
That's a good question. I think Eddington would encourage you to approach it with a sense of open-minded curiosity.
Okay, like that.
And a willingness to step outside your comfort zones.
To get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Experiment with different ways of knowing.
Okay, how? Like, what do you mean by that?
Explore contemplative practices like meditation.
Okay.
Or spending time in nature, engage with spiritual traditions that resonate with you.
So it's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. The key is to be willing to question everything.
Even our most cherished beliefs.
Even those, and to allow yourself to be transformed by the journey.
It sounds like he's not so much giving us answers as inviting us into a lifelong process of discovery.
It's not about dogma or certainty,
Right.
but about a continual unfolding of understanding.
And a willingness to keep learning and growing.
Exactly. And it's about cultivating a sense of awe and gratitude.
Okay, I can get behind that.
For the mystery and beauty of the universe we find ourselves in.
Even if we never fully grasp the ultimate nature of reality,
Right.
the very act of seeking,
Yes.
of wondering, of expanding our awareness is its own reward.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Before we wrap up our deep dive into Eddington's world, I'm curious what stood out to you the most from these books.
Oh, that's a tough one. There's so much good stuff in there.
What really resonated with you?
You know what struck me most deeply?
What?
Was Eddington's conviction that the universe is ultimately benevolent.
Okay.
And that our minds are capable of grasping its deeper meaning.
He believed that we're not just tiny specks of dust in a vast, indifferent cosmos.
Right, but integral parts of a grand and meaningful unfolding.
There's a profound message of hope in that.
There is.
Especially in a world that can often feel chaotic and uncertain.
Definitely.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
It reminds us that we're not alone in this vast cosmic dance.
We're all connected.
We're connected to something much larger and more magnificent than we could possibly imagine.
It's a humbling thought.
And maybe, just maybe, by tuning in to that deeper reality, we can start to create a world that reflects that beauty and meaning.
I hope so.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
And I have to say, Eddington's ideas have really stretched my brain.
In a good way, I hope.
In all the best ways. For anyone listening who's intrigued by what you've heard, I highly recommend checking out Eddington's books for yourself.
They're worth the read.
You won't be disappointed.
I promise.
And remember, this isn't the end of the conversation. It's just the beginning.
Right.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning. Keep wondering, because...
As Eddington himself said.
Go ahead.
The human mind is only at the beginning of its journey.
On that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the mind of Sir Arthur Eddington.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those hearts open.
And may your journey through the cosmos be filled with wonder and illumination.